Clint Trickett will make or break Maryland football.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys all for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with the college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Maryland's new offensive coordinator, Clint Trickett, I think is going to make or break the season for Maryland football. When we talk about Maryland football heading into the 2026 season, I think we're pretty optimistic of what Maryland football can be. I think we all think the team can be a lot better than what we've been, and we have a lot of pieces on this team to make a jump, whether it's getting back Malik Washington, getting back a lot of those guys in the sophomore class, guys getting older, a decent transfer portal haul. I think we all believe that we have a chance to be a pretty good football team next year, and we have the pieces to do some really big things for Maryland football. But I think the guy that potentially could make or break this season isn't actually Mike Locksley. I know Mike Locksley is going to have a ton of say, a lot of impact on Maryland football, obviously being the head coach, but we have a pretty good idea of kind of what Mike Locksley is as a head coach. When he's good, he's pretty good. When he's bad, like very bad. He usually lies somewhere in the middle below average mark. But I think the guy that could really transform and make or break this season is Clint Trickett. I don't think we've had an offensive coordinator with this kind of mind in this type of talent at the offensive coordinator position like Clint Trickett does. And I think that what I'm trying to say, him versus Mike Locksley, is that we kind of know where Mike Locksley's at. We kind of know what he is as a coach, who can come in here and really change things around. And that to me is Clint Trickett. And if he's really good and if he's as good of an offensive coordinator as I think he can be, then Maryland football can have a really good year. I really believe that. And I think the defense, for the most part, is going to be pretty good. Like, I feel pretty good about the defense. I'm not too worried. And I think the offensive side of things is going to really decide what Maryland football is. And that's what Clint Trickett has the challenge of doing and getting together. It's a unit that there's a lot of new pieces. There's a lot of unfamiliar faces, and we don't know exactly how it's going to work out. And that's the job of Clint Trickett, to get that thing going, to get the offense humming, to get it on track, to allow us to get to a level that we haven't quite reached yet under Mike Locksley offensively. And I think that when you think about our offenses in the past, they've been pretty one-dimensional. And that's kind of why I bring up the point that Clint Trickett can make or break this season. Our offense in the past has been really one-dimensional. There's usually only one thing that we do well, and that's throwing the football. We do an elite job of throwing the football. We throw the ball a whole lot, or I don't want to say we do an elite job. We do an elite job of throwing the football a lot. That's what we do an elite job of. We've been solid in the past at throwing the football, but Mike Locksley has had the game plan that we're going to throw it. We don't trust our run game. Our run game hasn't been good enough. We're going to throw the football. And I think Clint Trickett brings some of that balance back to Maryland football, where when he was the OC at Jacksonville State, they were one of the best rushing attacks in the entire nation. And I think when you think about this offense, it needs help. Like, it does. Last year was pretty bad for the talent level that we had and some of the players that we had. The performance that we actually put out there, it was pretty poor for Maryland football. And it needs a lot of improvement. And I think having a new OC, it can really make or break this thing heading in to next season. I'm expecting Clint Trickett to understand each part of the offense. He's been an offensive passing game coordinator. He's been an OC. He was the QB coach at Arkansas for a while. He was the passing game coordinator, like I said. He's had a leading rushing attack. He understands all the dimensions of the offense. He had a guy that was a Mackey Award semifinalist. He's coached a lot of different guys, and I really think if he ends up being as good as we think he is and can get this offense on track, I have total trust in the defense for Maryland football. Total trust in the defense that defensive unit is going to be pretty good, that defensive unit is going to be pretty elite and one of the better units in the Big Ten. Now, I think there's a lot more variance to where the Maryland offense can be. And like I said, that's where Clint Trickett comes in and he makes or breaks the season. If Clint Trickett can get this offense on track, and I think it's going to be heavy on his kind of tone on the offense, I think the offense is going to be a lot of different strategies, a lot of different plays, a lot of different formations that he brings. He can potentially make this team and make this offense and make us a pretty good football team. I'm talking about an 8-win, 9-win type of football team. I think Clint Trickett does that for us. Whereas I think the other side of things, when we look at it, if he breaks this thing, then we're looking at a team that is potentially a lower level type of team for Maryland football. If his offense doesn't work, it doesn't work the same as it did at Jacksonville, and we're not the same offense that we think everyone thinks we can be, and Malik Washington doesn't look good under this new offensive coordinator and Clint Trickett, then you're going to look at a football team that potentially gets broken. Like I'm telling you, it's going to be a big part of this thing is what Clint Trickett can do and how he can fix this team, because we know what Mike Locksley is. We know the defense is going to be pretty good. Clint Trickett's going to make or break this season. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I think he has the talent to make it a really good season, but I think there's also room for him, for the team or offense, not to exactly fit exactly what he wants to do, and him clashing with Mike Locksley. Remember, he was a big running game type of guy at Jacksonville State. Now it's going to be different, and we'll see if we can get that balanced approach out of us. So I really do believe Clint Trickett is going to define this season. I think he's going to make or break it, and I lean towards he's going to make it because I have a lot of trust for what he can do, and I'm excited for what he potentially could bring. But there's also a way where this thing breaks and it doesn't go the same way that we want it to. But you guys, we'll see what ends up happening. Let me know what you guys think below. Will he make or break the season for Maryland football? Let me know what you guys think down below. Let's talk about the biggest storylines heading into the offseason for Maryland football. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of storylines heading farther into the spring and spring practices. We'll talk about that next.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It's officially tournament time, and the number one seeds are set. UConn is the number one overall seed at 34-0 and will headline Fort Worth Regional 1 at Dickies Arena. Joining the Fort Worth site as a top seed is Texas, leading Regional 3. Out west, UCLA enters at 31-1 and takes the top spot in Sacramento Regional 2, while South Carolina leads Sacramento Regional 4. The first round of the tournament tips off this Friday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs, late night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel's giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. And then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, and ride with your team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Let's talk about some of the biggest storylines this year for the Maryland football offseason, which I think is a really big deal heading into the spring game, spring practice, different things like that. Like that defines a lot of how Maryland football is going to be. And one of the biggest storylines is something that we just talked about with Clint Trickett. How does the new offense look? Is it a new offense, or is it just a flavor Clint Trickett, or is it really still Mike Locksley? We'll end up seeing what ends up happening. I felt like with some of the new offensive coordinators, it never felt like it would always feel like kind of it was Locksley's offense. I would love to see Clint Trickett come in and fix something that's been pretty broken over the last couple of years. And so I want to see that. I think to me, that's one of the main things I'm watching this offseason to go along with my first point, talking about making or breaking the season. I want to see how Clint Trickett's offense looks. Is it a unit that can get it done? Is it something that looks good? And then piggybacking off of that, Malik Washington with Clint Trickett. Does that work? Is that a duo that can really kind of elevate us for the next couple of years until Malik Washington isn't a Terp for the next couple of years? Or is it going to cause Malik to transfer and him be somewhere else next year? Like that's entirely possible to look at. We can be like, yeah, like he's a pretty good fit for Malik Washington, but if the year ends up not going well and they end up clashing in any way, we'll see Malik Washington somewhere else. Like that's just the way it ends up working. But it's definitely an interesting thing to watch out for and see what ends up happening is kind of that relationship between those two. I think is definitely another storyline heading into spring practice that I'm going to be looking at. Is there any new kind of concepts and plays? And I won't be able to recognize all of it, but we'll be able to tell if Maryland's a different football team and a different offense. We'll be able to tell that pretty quickly. And I'm sure plenty of reporters, plenty of people will also ask about that. But that's definitely something I'm going to be interested in. I'm going to be watching closely is how Clint Trickett is as an offensive coordinator is definitely something I'll be looking at closely and kind of see what ends up happening. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But then I think another storyline is the Maryland receiving room. What is going on in that Maryland receiving room? Is it going to work itself out? Is it going to figure itself out? I legitimately have no idea with that Maryland receiving room. It could end up being really good and surprising a ton of people. It could end up being the worst unit in the Big Ten. Somebody brought to my attention that I should probably talk about a little bit more because I think last year I kind of give the receiver room too much credit. Like the names were good and guys ended up like Shalik Knotts ended up having a breakout season. Octavian Smith never reached his potential. Same thing with Jaleel Farouk, but we still kind of felt good about the guys we had out there. We did have a ton of drops. Someone said in the comment section, I was like, yeah, I probably should acknowledge we did have a lot of drops. So there is a chance the receiving room can be better. I don't want to act like it's impossible or that last year we had like the Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson LSU team at receiver. Like we didn't have that. But I do think there's a world where that room is kind of a room that struggles. And I think it's completely open and it's going to be a big camp battle. And I'm excited to watch it personally because I think that's arguably our biggest battle on the team is right there. I think there's a couple of them, but I think the receiver position could be one just because we have no freaking idea who's going to play. Who's going to be the guy for Maryland football? Is there going to be a one? Is it going to be more of a committee look? We have no freaking idea of what's going to happen with Maryland football. And I think we're all really interested and want to see what's going to happen with it. But I think it'll be a fun battle, and I want to see who comes out on top because I think there's a couple different ways it can go down, and it can end up happening. But I think it's an interesting battle, and we'll see. And then piggybacking off of that, I keep saying that, but another position group with a battle, I think, is the offensive line. I have no idea what the mix is going to be. You feel pretty good about a couple position groups, but I think there's a lot of different ways that offensive line can go down. I think Ratrell Perry at tackle, Michael Hershey at center, and then Isaiah Wright. What happens with him? That's going to be a big storyline. I don't know if fans are realizing that enough. Is he going to play tackle? Because remember, he did used to play tackle. Maryland kind of has an opening at tackle. That right tackle spot could end up actually fitting him really well and could make a lot of sense for Maryland football. So I think that's something that I'm going to be looking at. And then as well as the guards, what young guard emerges? I know that we expect the Telly Lockett to come in, the transfer to come in and start, but there's still another guard spot open, like Jalen Gilchrist, Amari Hills, Ryan Howerton, the three young guys. Who earns that? Because they've all played, or I guess Jalen Gilchrist hasn't technically played a lot, but the other two have played and gotten a lot of meaningful minutes. Jalen Gilchrist came in as the highest ranked offensive line recruit that maybe I think we have on the entire roster, 4-star top 150 recruit. Who gets that? Who ends up actually playing in that role? I think is something that I'm really interested in, and we'll see what ends up happening for Maryland football. But I do think it's something that matters. And so we'll see what ends up happening for Maryland football. But I'm definitely interested in that offensive line battle. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the storylines on the defensive side of the ball tomorrow. But I definitely want to do that, because there's plenty of other question marks on the defense side of the ball that is going to be interesting as well. So we can get into that tomorrow. But next, I want to talk about a freshman incoming from Maryland basketball that isn't Baba, that I'm really excited about, that I think could have an instant impact for the Terps. We'll talk about my thoughts on him, what I think he can do for Maryland basketball. We'll talk about all that next. Before we move forward, though, I want to talk about the Everydayer Club. Join the Everydayer Club now with code MARCH and get your first month free. And if you sign up before the NCAA tournament tips off Thursday, you can compete against me in our men's and women's bracket pools on Discord. You only have a couple days left, so make sure you guys hop on it right away. The winner in each will get $100 in Locked On merch, and the rest of us in the members-only chats in our brackets will blow up. And a member of the club, you can get an ad-free version of the show. Again, it's all free. I have the URL description down below, so make sure you guys go check that out instantly. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's now you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge at the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's the people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part. I've been in the market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download that Robinhood app now to begin. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on you, you need the right hire. And this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. And when you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. So I want to talk about a freshman coming in from Maryland basketball that's not Baba, that I think could actually have a really big impact on Maryland basketball next year that I'm honestly super stoked about. We obviously all know about the five-star talent Baba Aludetome from Silver Spring, who is ranked as the 11th ranked player in the class, number 4 at his position, number 1 in the state. We all think he has a chance to be an NBA player, a lottery pick, a high-end player, all those different things. And we're excited to see what Baba can bring to Maryland. But I think there's someone else that we're all kind of excited about as well that is flying a little bit under the radar. Is still a really highly ranked player, a big reason why we're ranked 7th right now in the 247 basketball rankings, but a guy that I think potentially could start next year, could be one of our better guys next year, could lead Maryland basketball depending on what it looks like in terms of the exodus of players. I don't know who's going to be back, who's not going to be back, but I'm really excited about Caden House for Maryland basketball, a guy that I think has a chance to be really solid for Maryland and has a chance to be really good for Maryland basketball. Caden House goes to Compass Prep, a really solid school that has a chance to be a really good player when you watch his game, when you watch his talent. I think he fits in right into what we need right now for Maryland basketball. We need a guy that can score. And that's exactly what Caden House does. He can score. He can get to the basket. He can get to the rim. He can also shoot the ball a little bit. He's still kind of streaky as a shooter, but he has the shooting form and the shooting ability where I'm not too concerned about it at the next level. It's not like guys where I'm like, it's not like Deshaun Harris-Smith, not to make call him out or for him to catch a stray where it's like, we don't know if that's going to translate. He has a really good chance of translating his talent, and I think ending up being a really good player for Maryland basketball. There's a reason he's ranked number 43rd in the class and one of the best guards as well in the class. I think the number one thing about Caden House is getting stronger. To be completely honest, he's still a little bit light. I don't know what weight he's at now. I'm sure he's trying to get bigger, but 247 has him listed as 173. I would guess it's closer to 180, 185 pounds at this point. I know he's probably trying to get bigger right now. So I definitely could see that happening as well with Caden House. So that's definitely something that we're going to be interested in watching. But when you think about Maryland basketball, there's not a ton of talent coming back on this team. A lot of guys are gone. And the guards, yeah, we might get back Andre Mills. We might get back Darius Adams, but there's a good chance Darius Adams might not be back with Maryland basketball. I don't know. I'm praying he comes back, but Caden House could step in right away and be a guard with Andre Mills that potentially starts next year for Maryland basketball. Like, there's not a ton there. Like Del Pino, I don't see him as a starter. Maryland could get someone in the portal, so House could end up being a starter. But I think where I think he could be really beneficial is coming off the bench in year one, giving us scoring, giving us some depth off the bench. I think could end up working out really well. I think he could go either way. I think Baba's kind of a really strong likelihood he ends up being a starter and he ends up being really good for Maryland. But I think House is a little bit different. And so we'll see what ends up happening with him. But I think it'd be really interesting for Maryland. And so definitely something I'm going to be looking at. Definitely something I'm going to be excited about is this guy House. How good is he going to be? Is he a starter for Maryland basketball? And like I said, I think this 2026 class has to maybe save Maryland basketball. Like, it could really go in the wrong direction if next year doesn't go well. And it's a 7th ranked recruiting class. Let's see what it can come in. Let's see what it can do. Obviously House or Baba is kind of the headliner, but Caden House is right there, right behind him. There's other guys behind him too that we think are really talented, and I'm excited about them all. But I think Caden House brings us a swag component, a guard scoring component, shooting component, an all-around score that we need and we lacked this year. Let's not get it twisted. We lacked scoring guards outside of Diggy Coit having an occasional 40 points or Andre Mills having an occasional 30 points. Like, we lacked guys that could really get it down in those areas. And so definitely really interesting, but definitely something I'm going to be looking out is Caden House. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you guys all like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.